Hello and welcome viewers. Today we are going to learn about PCP, which is nothing but Performance Co-Pilot. It is introduced initially in RHEL6 and started from RHEL 6.5 minor patch level, but looks like it is not that popular, and nobody very few people were using so far as I know. So instead of PCP, people are using SAR utility, which is systed package provided by Linux. And about PCP, there are many people still doesn't aware of that we have something which can be used to capture the metrics for our system, for our Linux system. Yeah, so PCB is very important and very useful when it comes to capturing the matrix, because it provides both the feature, which is command line utility. We would be able to run and gather information from system with command line, and also we have Grafana tool and PM chart, which is a web interface through which you can analyze your performance related logs. So why we basically need performance related log, right? So it is very important in IT, because I'm working from past 11 years in IT industry, and I know like how important it is, because you may be running hundred or thousands of servers. So now there is an issue on few servers, and those servers are experiencing issue, and you would like to know the bottleneck of it, what causing the problem and what causing the performance issue. So in that case, you would need to use some kind of tool through which you can analyze the log and see where exactly your problem is, right? So that's why we need a performance analyzer tool. But so far Red Hat was not providing a good, I would say a good tool. But uh, since performance copilot wasn't released, I would say there wasn't any, but now I think we have a very good tool which provided by Red Hat officially, and you can use it. So let's not delay further and go ahead and discuss more about performance tool. I'm not going to go more detail in theory. Instead, I'm going to show you how to install and how to capture the data, right? So let's go ahead and just a brief introduction about the PCP. It is nothing but a performance analyzer tool that has also API through which we can capture the data. Graphically, it is started in RHEL 6.5, and in going forward in future, it is going to be a standard tool for diagnosis or Linux system. And there are three primary part, which is performance metric domain as in we call it, another one the performance metrics collection daemon, and the third one is client. So they all work together to provide you a better performance related report. And when it comes to installation, it is just a PCP package, and there are a couple more packages based on your requirement. If you would like an GUI interface, then we'll have to install PCP GUI, and also later if you want Grafana, we would need to install Grafana. So for now, in this video, I'm going to show you how to install and configure PCP, and I'm going to use one server as a centralized server, which would going to act as a metric server and collect the data from the client, right? So in real-time scenario, you're going to have hundreds and thousands of servers, so you're not going to go in each server and run PCP command to collect the data. Instead, you're going to maintain one single centralized server from where you are going to analyze all the clients you are running, right? So that's why I'm going to show you how to configure a centralized server, and through that you would be able to capture your metrics data. Okay, so this is the installation part, and Later in this slide you can see there are commands that we can run. These are command line utility, pm state, which is very much similar to vm state, and pm io state, which is similar to io state, and we have pcp atop, similar to top command, vmval, vmchart, and vminfo, right? So there are many. I'm going to show you the other ones. I just mentioned few the important commands here. Okay, so the next one, I just given you one example saying okay how you are going to run a pmval command if you would like to find the information about your hardware address. So this is how you're going to run a command to find out, right? And the next slide, it says about the available GUI tools that we have right now. And earlier we used to use systatsr, right? It wasn't giving us an elegant graphical interface, but since we have pm chart and grafana, it would going to give you a nice looking graphical interface. And this is what the pm chart going to look like. I'm going to show you anyway. And the dashboard for the grafana, it is look like similarly it is going to be look like similar like this. Alright, so let's now go ahead and install the PCP, and we'll see how we can work with PCP. Okay, so first thing what we have to do is to install the PCP package. If you install your Linux system with GUI, it would by default going to install it. So I'm just going to double check whether it is installed or not. It is already installed, right? So let's restart the service. Okay, so we need to restart two service, which is pmcd and pm logger, once you install that PCP package. It basically takes some time. Sometimes it takes probably like 10 to 20 seconds. So let's just wait. Okay, so it is restarted. You can check the status with systemctl status pmcd and pm logger. Both are running fine. Excellent. So next thing what we are going to try is PCP command itself. So here you can see the location where my logs are going to reside on. So this is where my files are located. Okay, so I already configured it, that's why it shows this location. So for you, what you have to do is you have to run an additional command. If this primary log location is doesn't show up once you install and restart your service, you need to run one additional command. So that command is let me see, regarding debug. Yeah, so you need to run this command pm log conf -r, and this is the default configuration file, which is config.default. And once I run this file, when I run this command, you would be able to see there are a bunch of question with regards to configuration, like are you going to configure or are you going to capture the matrix for CPU. So this is what it is asking. So I'm going to say yes, and the interval for login, I'm going to say default. If you would like to do not use it, you just say no here, right? Similarly, it would going to ask you so many options, right? So there are a bunch of them. You can see now logical block device, now disk activity, file system, and so many of them. So it is going to take some time. Let me just pause the video. Okay, so now it is completed. If I just scroll it up, you can see there are so many of them. It was keep on asking whether you wanted to configure this and that, right? So I just went ahead with the default option. So once you're done with this, you need to restart the service again. So it basically takes some time to restore service. If the prompt doesn't give for some time, do not panic, just wait for some time to complete, because there are so many settings we made a change in the configuration, right? So that is why it is taking a little time. Okay, so it failed. Let me see which service it failed. PM Logger it failed. So let me try to check the journal. Okay, so let's try to stop the logging and start it and see if that helps. And now let's try to start it. Okay, so this time it looks like started, it didn't give me any error. So status, it is running fine. Excellent. So we are good with that service. So now next thing what we have to do is we are going to try the commands that we discussed in the slide, right? So let's go ahead and try those commands. PM state, which is similar to VM state command. You can see memory swap, system and CPU information. Let's go ahead and run PM IO state. This is similar to IO state, and it is giving similar output for my IO state and giving read write and other information about my disk. Excellent. So next thing what I'm going to try is PCP a top, which is very much similar to top command, right? You can also use this command. And the other one, which is PM-info, right? With this you can see the information, and there are like so many of them. If I do WC minus L, you can see like it is around 3000 of them. And also one example I have given in the slide. If I would like to see the network address, not the network address, the hardware MAC address for my system, we would be able to see it here. Instead of 0, let's press 2, or 1 if you want to see one interval. You would be able to see the MAC address, right? And instead of, let's see, we have some other option. MTU also you can see speed, which are going to be the useful ones. Maybe you are going to use them, right? And you would be able to see the IP address also somewhere here. I think this is the one. Let's try this. Clear the screen. Yeah, so I can see the IP address of my interface, right? So this is where you would be able to use PM well command. And the now next command is PM chart. You would not be able to run this PM chart command until you install this package cm install PCP GUI. So I already installed that package, that's why I can able to run that command. So let's just double check and show you that this package is already installed, right? So it is already installed, and once you install this package you would be able to run PM chart command. And if I run this command, let me run this in the background, and there's something is popped up, and you see here the live sometimes timestamp here. And if I click on this book button, you can select which one you would like to see: disk, IO state, probably memory, paging, swap. For now let's just go ahead with this 4. And you can see the first bottom is for the disk, memory, and the swap for the third one, and the data that are slowly feeding into this PM chart, right? So this is how you'd be able to capture the live data from your system. This is not only the local system you'd be able to do, you'd be also able to capture the data for the client system. For that there are a few additional steps we need to follow. I'm going to show you momentarily. So this is how you'd be able to see. and there are some color coding with that you would be able to identify, right? So for example, the writes are in pink and reads are in yellow, right? So this is how you would be able to differentiate. And if you would like to take and snip or take a screenshot of it, what you have to do is just click on this button and stop, and now you'll be able to take a screenshot of it, right? Okay, so let's close this one, and now let's look for the historical data. We were checking for the live data, so for historical data we can use pmchart -a, and we'll have to specify the location PCP PM Logger, and then my server name is metric server, and there will be a directory with a timestamp. This is the one we'll have to use, 2020-09-06. And now instead of live, you can see it is archived. Click on this book, and similarly you can use, for now I'm just going to use the overview and open it, right? So the live, since it is not feeding the live data, what we have to do is click on this archive button here down below and drag it on right and see the data like this, right? So for example, I wanted to see a data for September 6, 1330. So this is the data, right? And you can drag it right and left as you want, and you can capture it. You can also export it to save this file, save view and export it, right? So this is very useful with regards to capturing your data, right, and the historical data. So far we have discussed the installation part, some commands, utility we can use, command line utility, and also pmchart graphical interface that we can use to capture data live and also historical data. The next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two servers, which is Matrix Client and Matrix Client 2. Those two servers going to add in this master node. So this node is going to act as a centralized server from where I'm going to capture data and I'm going to analyze data, right? For that, what I have to do is I need to follow a few additional steps. So I have a notepad here, I already prepared it. I'm going to share this notepad in the description for you to, like when you are going to configure, it would be easy to just follow the steps. So if I scroll it down here in this section, I just mention here setting up your client server. So on the client server, we need to make sure this package is installed. Okay, install the PCP system, install PCP. Now this is for the client system. Okay, so this is for client. Let's configure the master first. So my master settings would be the similar like this. I need to install this package. So in the master, let me install this package. I believe it's already installed. It is already installed, and also in the client system I have to install it, and I believe it is already installed because I tested initially. Yeah, so it is already installed. The master server, what changes we have to do, I need to run this command to update my configuration file, right? And my two client, which is client 01 and client 02 IP is 30 and the other server is 32, right? So I already ran this command, and if I go to this file and get it, you can see I already added. So these are the two information I have added. RHEL6 I just named as RHEL7 and RHEL6. You can name as you want, right? But other information should be similar like this. and IP address is your system IP address, the client system IP address, right? So that you have to change it. So once you are done with this, what you have to do, you have to restart the service, which is PM CD and PM Logger. On the client system, similarly what we have to do, if I go to this notepad, you can see I need to install this package and I need to run this command. So let me just show you that portion as well. So this is the command, not that this IP is your client system IP. Okay, so if I do IPA, so currently it is 132, right? So if I get this file, I already added that information. You can see on the bottom -I, the IP is already added. So when you are going to run this command, you're going to add one line here on this file, right? So I have done this already. Let me just verify it, this file on the other server. So you can see it is already added. So once you are done with this part, what you have to do, you have to restart the service, this service, PMCD and PM Logger, and all of the servers, right? So on client system and your master system. So I already restarted the service since I tested initially, right? So once I restart the service, what I saw is, if I go to this location PCP PM Logger, you'd see there are two more additional directory created, which is my client system, this one and this one. So RHEL6, I named one server as RHEL6, the other one I named as RHEL7, right? And if I go inside this directory, you'd see some files already started to feed to my master server, right? So let's go ahead and check this file, RHEL7, and you can see these are the files, right? So once you are done with the steps that I've showed you, you would be able to see similar information like this, all your nodes. This is my master node, my Centralize master node, and these are two my client nodes, right? Okay, so now once you add this, now you would be able to also capture and view the information from your client system running pmval command. So if I go into this location, run pmchart -a, and instead of pm metrics, I can now use my client system RHEL6, and there is a timestamp, this one, and if I run this command, now you can see archive, and you can drag it, sorry, so I just have to use this one first, memory, CPU, disk, for now open, and on the bottom archive, and just drag it like this, and you can see the data, right? So this is how you'd be able to capture your data with the PCM, and you'd be able to analyze the metrics from your server and from your client system with PCP, right? So in this video I'm going to just show you how it works, and my next video I'm going to show you how to install the Grafana and how to analyze the log, the performance related logs with Grafana interface, right? So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good day.